Okay, I'm joined with Maxi from Spain. Maxi, how you going, mate?
Hi, I'm fine. How about you?
I'm really good. I'm really good, thanks, mate. We're going to do a bit of a different format this time. We're going to do a bit of a paint and chat, and just sit back and relax and have a good yarn about painting and Oldhammer and whatever we want to talk about during the time that we have. So thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It's
Anytime, mate.
really
Like I
great
said,
to it's great to talk about old miniatures and things. Yeah, I like it.
yeah, man. I know that because you're a really prolific painter, and I've seen many posts on Facebook. That's how I sort of found you through Facebook, and you've
Mhm.
painted an or like you were just like painting like one miniature a day and posting stuff up. So it was just amazing to see how much like the output you could do with your painting,
Yeah,
and the quality of the work that you did was just really amazing. So
yeah, thanks. I try to paint more than a miniature a day. Not every day, maybe, but well, more than 365 minutes. Yeah, yeah. More than one a day.
wonderful. That's good, mate. That's great. I wish I could do the same. That's awesome. I think most people would be the same. So how did you actually get into like the wargaming hobby?
Mm, well, I think it's the same story that everyone can tell you, everyone in this world of minis and Oldhammer. And that's when I was at school. And I remember some friend of mine came into class with some miniatures and an old army book. It was Chaos Dwarfs, and the miniatures were Aspacot, the stone warlock, and some of the war machines. I can't remember if it was the cannon or the missile launcher. I can't remember. And I really associated miniatures with toys for kids. But when I saw that uh, epic dwarves with that Assyrian look and big beards, um, I was amazed. And that friend of mine came with some white dwarfs. The first white dwarf came out in 1993, I think, here in Spain. So I was 11 or 12 years old, and I was amazed by everything, the miniatures, the terrain, the articles about battles. That's I think many of us started in this Oldhammer world like this, but it was not Oldhammer then. It's Oldhammer now, and that's my first contact with Warhammer. Then I was looking for people to play, looking for shops to buy these wonderful things. Yeah, and it was hard because I live in a small city, and it's hard to find local gaming stores and people who knows what is Warhammer. So yeah, that was my first contact with the miniature world. That was many years ago, and I'm still with minis all around, which is I think is great. I think myself as a kid will be proud.
Excellent. That's fantastic, mate. That's good. I think most of us sort of got into the hobby. Well, speaking for you and I, and for a great number of us, got into the hobby during the early '90s. So, and I'm always astonished how many people from Spain, especially, are into this whole old hammer or middle, so the hero hammer sort of era. So,
Yeah,
I'm assuming the inception of Games Workshop and the stores, or at least the White Dwarves, hit Spain around about the '93 era. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. 93 was the year of the first White Dwarf. Um, I remember the Warhammer 40k box. came with a free white dwarf. Mine was number 3, maybe, or 2 or 4, not much than that. And I think that was a great marketing strategy because white dwarf was doing a great thing. Maybe Little Pages was a short magazine, but great content, great pictures, really inspiring. So that was a great way to hook people.
Yeah, for sure. It certainly hooked me when I first got my copy. I think it was like 147, I think was my first ever White Dwarf. And ever since then, mate, that was it. I was totally hooked on it.
Yeah, it was great. It's one of the things I miss the most. I'm painting, but you can see me because I am with my. I can do this, but you can see my hands, and it's crappy.
Good. That's great. That's great. Yeah, man. Good angle. Perfect.
Okay.
So, are you a self-taught painter, or was someone in your community willing to teach people how to paint miniatures?
No, I learned it by myself. I'm not saying it like a heroic thing. I would prefer, I would have preferred to be taught by someone who knows more than me. But back then, it was hard to find people who knows how to paint, who were good painters, because good painters were in the world of modelism, serious modelism, if you know what I mean. They were building models, kit models of World War II, tanks and planes, everything like. And this was older people, maybe in their 20s or 30s, but for 11 years old, again with 50 years old, it was very old. So I don't think that people would like to teach a young one how to paint. At least that was my experience. So I have to learn by myself. And I started with the basics. And I remember the Games Workshop articles in White Walls or in flyers that came with boxes, and that was great marketing again because you were not only buying the toys, but also you are getting some info about what can I do with these toys. Can I paint them? Who is this Mike McVeigh guy? I want to paint like him. How can I get there? And I think those first articles really helped. Do you remember using a particular brand or some paints in your beginnings?
Oh, mate, yeah. I think I used I think it was Humbrol. I mean, this is going back a
Oh
long
yeah,
time ago, but the most awful paints you could ever buy. And
yeah.
the Tamiya range. That's all there was.
They were
That's all there
horrible.
is. Yeah. Yeah, that was all it. That was it. Like, you couldn't buy it. Well, until later I found out about Citadel paints, of course. And luckily I found my little comic shop. I think it was called the Daily Planet or something like that. I probably got that wrong, but yeah, I can't remember now. It's such a long time ago. But anyhow, the only shop in the Gold Coast that actually stocked anything that was related to Games Workshop or hobby stuff like that. And how about yourself, Matt? Was it the same kind of thing for you? Was it Humbrol and Tamiya?
It was the same thing. I remember. I can't remember why Hamburg. I think people that were into modelism used that paint, and they still use it a lot. They are synthetic paints, so you can't clean it with water. They are not water soluble. You need some kind of dissolvent or some strong chemical to work with, and it was awful because it smells bad, horrible. Many people uses Umbro today, But for a kid, yeah, they were horrible. But they were relatively cheap and they were available. You can find them in toy stores and Toys R Us. So they were easier to get. Uh, my local comic store was named El Hechicero, that means warlock in Spanish, something
Cool.
like that.
Yeah.
And it was that it's kind of dark, creepy shop from our childhood. And
Love it. Yeah.
yeah, there was something like that in every city and every town. And there were comics, adult comics, which were a shock to me because I was used to, to kids comics, to child stories, and they had RPGs. I didn't know what it was at the time, and, and they have Warhammer and 40k miniatures in blisters, only blisters, just blisters, no boxes, and they have maybe 20 or 30 blisters at best. Only that. That was all their catalog. So you can see all they have by one look because it was so little. But I was amazed by that. I love it. And I was there. Please show me your Warhammer stuff, and I have no money, so I cannot buy anything. Yeah, and I think these kind of memories are really common among people between 35 and 45 years old.
And were you interested in the actual gaming aspect of the hobby, or is it more of like a painting thing for you?
Well, I have been always a painting, a collector, a painting person, and not much as a gaming person. And gaming was hard back then. Everything sounds like everything was very hard back then. But it was because it was hard to contact people who knew which org were. And the local gaming store, well, my local gaming store didn't exist back then. We had this creepy comic book, but nothing more. And some years later, I don't remember, a local gaming shop was opened. And they had model kits, they have toys, and they have um, radio controlled planes and Warhammer. And some people, and I discovered some people that really played Warhammer, but they were maybe in their 20s, and I was just a kid. And no 20 years old wants to play with a little kid. Uh, so it was hard to find people to play with. I remember started playing more with Blood Bowl, Board of Him, Necromunda, um, because these are smaller games, so you can get people into them easier than into 40k or Warhammer, where you need a huge army with many miniatures. So yeah, playing was a problem. Not sure if your experience was the same, because for me, playing back then was really hard.
Mm. And what is your preferred paints paint system these days? Is it Vallejo or one of the other companies?
I use many Vallejo.
Mhm.
You can see here game color, model color. Um, yeah, I like very much the Citadel paints. I think they are great. They have many colors, really vivid, striking colors. I like that. And I discovered this brand recently. Not sure if you can see
Ah, yep, scale color. Yep.
Scale color. They are great. Maybe a little watery, so you can maybe use two or three coats. but they are great. They are very, very striking colors. Well, these ones here are for wood and leather, so they are really dark. But uh, once painted, they look great. So these are my three main source for paints. Um, but anything can serve to make some work of art. Any acrylic paint, really. Um, these three brands really covers well. Maybe scale color a little less, but you can always use an visual layer, and that does it. But Citadel is great, and Vallejo is great. Um, both cover really, really good, and you can mix them. This is my three favorites. There's another brand which I didn't use. I don't use because I don't know how to buy it unless through internet, and I have many colors. Which is the same brand that did Citadel paints in the 80s and 90s. Um, if
Coat
I remember
d'Arms.
correctly, sorry,
Coat d'Arms.
Can't remember. B3 colors, B3 paints, something like that. I can't remember.
Okay. You got Nostalgia 88, which is this particular pot here. It's out of Cyprus, and they've actually got they've tried to imitate all the original 1980 paint pots and labels and the colors. So that's a brand out of Cyprus. It's a very, very good. I think it's War Colors. That's the company behind that. And the other one is, if I can find it, is the one I was just talking about. That's Coat d'Arms, and I've got a few of those paints.
Coat d'Arms. Yeah. That was Coat d'Arms.
Coat d'Arms, yeah, they're the ones that are like the original Citadel colors, yeah.
Yeah. And many people, I know many people use that brand because you quite remember that feeling of that color. So I'm not sure. I don't know. I use anything that can get my hands in. Really, I like the bright colors. I like vivid bright colors, um, because this is fantasy. You can paint it wherever you like.
Yeah.
You don't have to need to be realistic.
So tell me about the collections of miniatures that you have currently. Like what sort of things really interest you in more of a collecting and painting aspect?
Well, I have been more a person of evil guys. I like evil guys. I like orcs. I like warlocks. I like chaos things. And Citadel have a huge selection of evil chaos mutant things. But recently, in the past 2 or 3 years, I really get into painting anything. Really. I think I appreciate any miniature. Well, maybe not any miniature, but any old miniature. So I really like to paint wherever I feel. Many of the miniatures you can see in my blog or in my Facebook page are really not mine because they are commissions. I do a lot of commissions. Uh, I started accepting commissions a few years ago, so people send me many, many things, not only the things I like, but I learned to love every miniature. So I really like everything right now. I have an orc army for 40k. I have a Nurgle army, so both armies are evil. But I collect many heroes, many warlocks, mages, and heroes, uh, and many beastmen too. I think I like beastmen. Yeah. I like chaos. I think chaos mm, is is pure Oldhammer because Oldhammer lots of imagination and lots of creativity into it. That's something I miss something because today I think miniatures are too corporative. I don't know if that's the word.
Mass produced, or yeah.
Yeah, yeah, maybe you can. Every army have some troops, and every miniature can fit into one of these troops or one category. But back in the 80s, the 90s, uh, that wasn't the case. Chaos is crazy. If you watch, you see the old art, the old miniatures, the old drawings, or the old army books. Uh, there was lots of craziness here. People without head, but with a mouth in their chest, with three eyes. People with pink hair. What's that? How they can eat or speak or what's that? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was it had no sense, but it was beautiful. It was wonderful. Uh, I remember seeing for the first time many years after it came out. Um, that book I have right there, and that's Warhammer Fantasy Battle, you know, mythical book.
Beautiful. Yeah.
What's that? I mean,
Oh yes, the
some kind of two-headed goblin or orc. Why this guy here? Sorry, have this neck, this huge neck. What's that? It's crazy. But that's the thing that defines Oldhammer. So I'm divagating, but my favorite miniatures are the original, the creative ones, the crazy ones, uh, long necks and two heads. Anything that you can't put into a category. If you were a hero that walks around the world and you see that mutant, you can't put a name. You don't know what you are looking at. This is a monster, and this is like when in a RPG you encounter some unknown monster, and it's unknown because you are a farmer that get into adventuring and you don't know what is this thing. That's what I like. I think the armies should look crazy and with colors and banners, and shields with stupid faces on it on them. That's the kind of miniatures I like. The kind of miniatures that allows me to paint crazy faces and use brilliant colors. Yeah, whatever miniature I can do that.
and what was the first miniature you ever bought?
Mm, I think it was a Chaos Terminator. If I remember correctly, it was a Chaos Terminator. Well, because I had to choose between that Terminator and maybe another two miniatures, and the other one was crappy, and I liked that thing. I didn't know what a Terminator was. I just saw a huge guy with spikes and a dangerous attitude, so I liked it, and that's all. Maybe my love for chaos started here. I don't know, but yeah, I think that was my first miniature. And some orcs, I really liked orcs because it was a really fun army to collect. I have many second edition orcs. They are crazy. They look great. Um, I have some chaos miniatures, some old chaos miniatures, and I have some. It happens something weird. Mm, They were brands of miniatures that you can find lying around in local gaming stores, toy stores. Um, and now they are much harder to find,
Mhm.
which is weird because I am talking about mid 90s, and I remember a big toy store that were in a city near here, um, which had a huge collection of miniatures of all kind of brands. I remember seeing Call of Cthulhu miniatures, miniatures for the RPG Aliens, uh, Asterix and Obelix miniatures, RAFM, Ralparta, all kind of brands that you can't, you just can't find today.
Mm.
Well, mainly because this store transformed in some kind of multinational. Um, again, corporations are evil. I know that.
And are you more of a fantasy guy or a 40k guy, or a bit of both?
I started like a 40K guy, but now I think I'm fantasy. Because I don't know, 40K have a very, very rich uh, background. The fluff in 40K is wonderful. The novels, I think it's a very, very attractive universe. Uh, but uh, I think it's easier to find fantasy universe because every writer, every artist uh, wants to write about fantasy.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings is strong influence. Everybody is writing about fantasy. There are many, many crappy works, but there are many, many good works. So in general, I think I'm more a fantasy guy right now. Maybe because I paint lots and lots of miniatures from fantasy settings, maybe Dungeons and Dragons or Lord of the Rings, Old Citadel, and nobody wants me to paint their 40K units. That's weird.
I've got some old Rogue Trader Plague Marines here. Maybe you'll like these, Maxi.
Ooh, ooh, I like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that miniature. I
This is
love that miniature. Yeah, great. One of my favorites ever. The late Marines. It looks great, beautiful.
this is a miniature I painted back in the 1996. This is one of the models I
And
painted in 1996. Yeah.
that's the original picture.
And I'm sort of, this is a, this is my old army that I'm sort of just repainting. So this is like the old Plague Bearer, Kev Adams Plague Bearer, and this is like the new. I'm sort of just touching them up and painting them up in sort of like more pastel colors and that kind of thing.
I
And
love that goblin green base. Yeah,
yeah.
that's it is shouting out loud, Oldhammer.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that's how they were back in the day. I don't know why I did all these black rim bases, all the horrible static grass and that kind of thing. I got cat litter on there, I think. I didn't have like proper sand and that kind of stuff, but yeah, it's all getting changed over. So yeah, but I do love the old. I've got more appreciation for the old hammer stuff nowadays.
Do you prefer round or square base?
Well, that's a good question. That's very controversial, I know, for many people, and it gets people
It is. It is.
it gets people rolled up online every now and again. It really depends. 40K, I prefer rounds, but I do appreciate because back in the day, back in the 90s, they didn't actually have big round bases, so they put all the dreadnoughts on square bases, or they made them out of MDF or
Mm.
and that kind of thing. So if I do see someone who actually does like square bases on their Tyranids or dreadnoughts and stuff like that, I like that. But rounds are fine as well.
Mhm.
But for fantasy, it has to be squares. I can't get into the whole round bases for fantasy. For Warhammer Fantasy, I'm talking about. For rank and file, yeah, it has to be round. It has to be square bases. Sorry. Um, but then uh, to each their own, I suppose. If it works for you and you can work a way around getting around it, putting in a movement tray that has round slots in it, and you can do it, then do it. I mean, it really depends. I like round bases. I mean, round bases really suit certain miniatures. But you know, for fantasy, I think it has to be square bases for me, mate. How about yourself?
Okay, if you need to align your miniatures and form ranks and files, I think square is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think round is maybe more aesthetic because miniature looks more centered. I don't know how to explain. Look at that. For example, this squig is temporarily glued into this square base, and if you can see that many of the four and two of the corners are really not of much use there. They are wasted here. Just they're just a bit of plastic here. If you use round bases, I think there are no more base protruding from one side, and there are no corners. Nah, no idea. This is just my thought. I think they are more aesthetic. Well, I'm not into that controversy. People like to polarize around everything, and also round bases versus square bases. I don't know. People like to do wars for everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it really depends on the person and how they feel about it. I mean, you know, I play Epic Space Marine, which, you know, from second edition, first edition, were on square bases. But you know, I've played people with round bases on their miniatures, and it worked fine. Like it didn't, you know, it didn't ruin anything. It didn't break the game or anything like that. So it's really
Yeah,
based on personal preference.
it's not
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah, yeah, and it's only because maybe during the time when those games were, you know, played and were at the forefront, people didn't experiment with basing. It was just like, well, you know, they come with square bases and they're pictured with square bases, they're sold with square bases. I'll base them on square bases. And in my mind, it's like if you want to do it any other way, it's kind of breaking it. You know what I mean? It's sort of breaking that image or the memory or whatever. I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it just depends.
I went into round bases and never looked back. I, all my miniatures are on round bases, maybe oval bases, but for the big monsters. But for me, it's wrong because it's easier. You don't have to think anything. Round. Okay, next.
Yeah.
And what about banners? Because I'm watching you painting that beautiful oak banner, and that was a clever idea from Games Workshop, adding black and white banners, so you can paint them and just cut it to size and glue into your miniatures. This is beautiful. I miss
Mate,
that.
it's great. It's a great idea. I didn't take up on it initially until many years later, like until recently, and then started photocopying them out of the books and started painting them because, yeah, I mean, it's a great resource initially because they're exactly the same as the studio ones. I'm taking it that, you know, when they designed the banners and they had like a black and white drawing of it, they would scan them and then photocopy them for the book, and then they would paint them later on. So essentially, you're painting exactly the same design as the studio banners.
Yeah.
But and banners for me just make everything. You know, banners for me, like, they are the Rogue Trader Hero Hammer era, because I think from the 2000s, basically they just got rid of banners like third edition, 40k, and sixth edition fantasy. They just ditched banners altogether, and I hated that. So yeah, banners for me really are what I love about those times.
I think banners are really visually striking. you can have some crappy miniatures, badly painted, but if you add impressive banner, that unit will be remembered. People will
Absolutely.
remember that huge banner with some crazy Margaret Thatcher face.
That's the John Blanche Minotaur you're referring to, then, yeah?
Yeah. Because well, maybe people don't know it, but that happened. I mean, someone painted Margaret Thatcher's face into a standard, which makes the standard really outstanding and terrific.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I saw that in the Heroes for War Games book. It's a publication by Tiger Publishing. I don't know if you've got that at all, Maxi, but if you don't have it and you're an Oldhammer lover, then I would really try to find that book. I'll send you a link because I discovered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I discovered it in like the late 90s. And basically it's, well, someone approached the Games Workshop company way back in the 80s, and they photographed all of their collection, and they interviewed a lot of the sculptors and painters, and they basically gave pretty much a documentation of what Games Workshop was and the products they sold at the time. So I think initially they had like, and the first few pages had like the dungeon floor plans, and they had like Warhammer Roleplay First Edition. They had a whole range of miniatures that were photographed with black backgrounds, but it really, it's accentuated all the colors and amazing paint jobs on those miniatures. I mean, when you talk about freedom, about third edition, when you talk about chaos and how incredibly chaotic the sculpts were, well, the painting complemented those designs so well, because the painters were given so much freedom into to just express themselves and say, well, you just go wild, just paint what you think this model represents in this world or whatever, you know what I mean? And they would just let loose, and they were given so much freedom of creativity that it was a massive difference between the 80s and 90s. It's a huge difference, even though I can respect both. But yeah, the 80s had something really special about it, and I love that book. And I gave it to a mate of mine in Australia, but I'm going to get that book back because there's some really amazing stuff in it. It's got Kev Adams painted miniatures in there. I mean, it just shows how talented the guy is. Like, he's not only an amazing sculptor, but boy, he's just an incredible painter as well.
He also paints and paints very well.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about before. I miss the creativity and the craziness. Today, you can. I don't want to sound like an old grumpy man that thinks everything was better then. No, it was. But some things I will miss. The banners. Where are the banners now? There are no banners, no paper banners, no plastic banners. Well, I miss that. I miss crazy competitions about painting a shield or painting a banner. There aren't such things today. Everything is much more standardized. And when someone decides to do something differently, it's like, oh, that's heresy, and it's not. It's just some people using imagination and painting toys.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, I repeat, I don't want to be that kind of old grumpy man talking about Iwo Jima or something like that. I don't know. No. Today, miniatures are cheap, relatively cheap. I know they seem to be cheaper in the past, but it's not quite true. Well, they are not cheap, but they are not really expensive. You can have many miniatures today for maybe not Games Workshop, not talking about Games Workshop. I'm talking about another brands that keep selling some old Hammer models or even new models like Royal Parfa, um, alternative armies. There are many brands here out there that can provide you really old or old style minis for a relatively low price. And I like that. I like that. Um, Today, there are more companies, there are more competence, which is great for us, the users, because there are lots of people out there who wants to create something special, who wants you and me to look at them and say, "Oh, I want to buy this," and that's great because there are many models out there, very very great.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah.
I
So,
hope you didn't have have told the contents of this podcast because, as you can see, I tend to deviate. And you can you can cover lots and lots of topics, chaining one with the next, and keep talking about these things for hours and hours.
well, that's why I brought you on, mate. So you can talk as much as you like. So feel free to talk about anything you want to.
Oh,
That's
very great.
fine. We appreciate
Let's
that.
hope the viewers will find that thing interesting. It would be great to rate some opinions or some comments because I have watched some of your content online, some of your interviews in YouTube, and it will be great for people to comment and say what they think. If
Mhm.
we are crazy or what.
I'm definitely crazy. I don't know about you, Maxi, but I'm definitely crazy, mate. I've lost it.
Yeah,
I've lost the
well,
plot
yeah,
years ago.
maybe, but we are well adapted because we are free and not bad itself.
True. It's a scary thought, isn't it?
I'm painting some squeaks sculpted
Mm,
by Kev Adams
yep.
recently.
Yep.
Um, they came out maybe last year through a Kickstarter
Hmm.
from Nightmare Miniatures. It's a great brand, and the owner is a friend of mine. He's from Spain. He's a Spaniard like me, and they have really beautiful miniatures. If people are listening to this, go search Nightmare Miniatures, and they have goblins and orcs and squeaks monsters from various sculptures. They have Team Pro also. They have Jeff Adams, which made many goblins, what else, and orcs. But they have many unknown sculptures. Well, at least I didn't know many of them, but they did a wonderful work recreating that all meanings that we all love. So go watch it and buy something because it's beautiful.
Yes, that's right, Maxi. Go and check them out because they do some amazing work in collaboration with Cav Adams. Now, this is one of the miniatures that Diego sent me very kindly about a year ago, probably more than a year ago now, and he asked me to paint these in a paint and chat type thing. So I'm definitely going to do it, Diego. I promise you this month that I will start it. So I'm gonna prime it up tomorrow. It's an orc shaman with a beautiful. It's just a beautiful model, and it's got like a snotling holding his spell books in the front there. It's just brilliant. So I can't wait to paint this. Just a magic model. So yeah, definitely. Um,
Did you paint some of the orc warriors and orc beastmen from Nightmare Games?
I've got the I've got the I think there are 10 or 8 different variants of the Ball Boys, the Kev Ball Boys that he released maybe 4 years ago in a Kickstarter for Diego at Nightmare. I painted those up. I painted up some of the regular orc boys in that Kickstarter as well, that I think Dad kindly sent me. And I've got the Gretchen from the Kickstarter for 40k, like the Rogue Trader Gretchen, which are just amazing models. They're beautiful. I love them.
It was like something like Space Riders or something like that. Yeah.
That's it, Space Raiders. Yeah.
Yeah, with the cyber minotaur.
That's the one. So yeah, very, very impressed. And the castings are really good.
Yeah.
Top-notch castings.
Yeah,
very little flash, very little, well,
very
actually
little
no flash, zero flash. Sorry,
you don't need to file away anything.
Nope. And just maybe just a slight mold line you need to take away, but that's it, like very little. So very, very impressed with that. Yeah, I try to plug Diego's website whenever I can, so to give him more business because he deserves it.
Yeah, he did great work.
Yep.
It all started like a obscure small company doing some crazy miniatures, and I think everybody knows Nightmare Games.
I think so. I think more people know about it now, for sure.
Yeah.
And Maxi, can you do me a big favor? Can you ask Diego to come on to the? Can you ask him to do like a paint and chat like this with me? Because I asked him a couple of times and he won't do it. He thinks his English is too bad.
Why?
He thinks his English is not good enough. He thinks his English is not good enough. And I said, mate, don't worry about it. Like everyone will be able to understand you. Don't worry. Don't worry about your English. It'd be fine. I just want to have him on here so we can talk about stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe I can ask him, and I can ask him in English. If he didn't answer, he got understand.
Okay.
No, it's not possible. He doesn't speak a word. Well, I don't know. But I think he could tell some interesting histories because, he talked with Kev Adams and important people. So
yeah,
I'm sure he keeps for himself some interesting stories and anecdotes.
absolutely. Yeah.
And he's a great painter too.
Yeah, he is. He's an awesome painter.
Yeah.
And like really good sculptor too. Like, the modifications and the miniatures he's designed, really good. So he's an all-rounder.
Yes, yeah, he was sculpting some Chaos miniatures. I mean, sorry, I keep saying miniatures for minotaurs. Some Chaos minotaurs with tentacles and spines, and they came out great. They are great miniatures. Great minotaur.
Yeah, he's a very talented guy. So yeah, we'd love to have him on. And hopefully for the next, Kickstarter campaign or something like that, if he wants to, promote it or whatever, happy to do that for him. So
yeah, it will be a great promotion, I think.
Because he just showed off a orc boss with a back banner pole, and he had like this giant axe and a sword, and he had a wonderful looking shield. It was all designed by Kev Adams.
Yeah.
That looks really amazing. So
yeah. Well, I will talk to him because I think it would be interesting to hear what stories he can tell. Yeah.
But if he doesn't want to do it, that's fine. Like, it's no problem. No pressure.
Yeah, no problem. I don't know. Here in Spain, many people is afraid to talk English or to talk any other language.
I can totally I can totally understand that. Yeah, a lot of Japanese people here too are the same. And I've got one guy here, Yoji, which I think most people from the Oldhammer community know about, because he's got his own company here in Japan that sells.
Yoji, yeah.
And he doesn't want to come on either because he's just, I think he can speak English perfectly, mate. Perfect. But he just doesn't want to do it. So Well, I don't know what else to
Well,
do because he's got so many wonderful stories, and I think people really love to listen to him. But yeah, I don't think he's interested in doing a sort of a podcast or YouTube interview, unfortunately.
well, I don't know. Here in Spain, people are we historically were very very awkward to speak another languages, which is weird because we Spanish people were all around the globe. You are telling me a Spanish person cannot learn English or cannot speak another language? Yeah, that's stupid.
Mm.
That's nonsense. But well, I don't know.
But I can relate too because like living in Japan, like my Japanese is terrible, and I don't want to speak Japanese publicly because I'm really self-conscious about it because I know it's so bad. And I'll make a mistake and people will laugh and that kind of thing. My wife always takes the piss out of me for speaking Japanese. I get something wrong or whatever. It's terrible. So I can totally relate with that. I totally understand where people are coming from with that. So
Yeah, well, I can understand that. Who cares?
yeah,
It's
but
simple.
you got
No,
to
nobody knows it.
you got to just try and say, well, stuff it. Who cares?
Yeah, and today we are constantly hearing another people speaking in English, speaking in
Yeah,
their
yeah,
own
sure.
languages. I hear many beats from people in South America, which
Mm,
speak Spanish, but with their own accent and their
mm,
own expressions and their own slang.
yeah.
Say. And that's okay. You get accustomed to it, and no, it's not a sin. It's like the wrong basis. It's okay. Nobody
Yeah,
cares.
yeah.
So well, everybody speaks but in many languages.
Mm,
Maybe they speak well in one or two languages, but I can I can speak. I mean, I don't know Chinese, but well, I can speak English a little bit. And that's enough.
yeah.
That's not a podcast about language or,
Yeah.
or grammar.
Oh, grammar. Don't tell me about that, grammar. It's a dirty word. Dirty word, grammar. But yeah, people can, even Japanese people can, can talk to me, in kind of like an ungrammatical way or whatever you want to say it, like in a different order or whatever, and I still understand what they're saying.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm sort of used to that kind of thing. I'm used to probably I don't know why, but maybe from Australia, I don't know, watching different programs on TV or whatever. I'm used to listening to
Yeah,
people in different accents as well, especially British accents, and yeah, a lot of foreign accents. So
yeah.
um, but anyhow, mate, let's change the subject. Let's go to the Oldhammer Spain event. Now, when was the last time you entered that, or when you visited that?
Never. I have never
Never,
been there.
never. Yeah,
No,
really.
no, no.
No, you surprised me.
Yeah, yeah. No, I have never been there. No, no, because some year I'm not sure how many times they do the event. 4, 5, 6. I don't know. Um,
Hmm.
some years I was walking, so I cannot attend. And other years I really didn't care or didn't notice it. So I've never been there. Uh,
Yeah.
and the curious thing is that two of the at least one of the guys that organized that is a friend of mine, and he lives really nearby, maybe 5 miles from here. He's just around the corner, and
Yeah.
well, I don't know. I never went, and I could say this friend, hey, let's go together. pick your car and drive. But I didn't do it.
Wow.
And so I never attended here.
Okay. I'm really surprised about that. I thought you'd be the first person
Yeah,
to go down
sorry.
there,
Yeah.
just to hang out with the guys and just talk Oldhammer and I know you're not a player, so just to hang out and just talk with people.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I cannot tell you things about this event because I didn't know that in person. I have never been here.
Right. Well, do you wish to go to a future events then?
Well, yeah. Why not? Why not? Why not? Let's hope the next year, the next time they organize that, I am not doing something weird like walking
Yeah.
or something like that, and I forgot about it or something like that. Yeah, it will be great. It will be great because there are not many opportunities to hang around with people who likes all miniatures and all paints.
Hmm.
It's not a kind of conversation you want to have in a bar with friends.
Yeah.
No.
No. I think they would really appreciate your kind of painting workshop. Where you just sit there and paint miniatures with other people and just sort of chat and talk
Yeah,
and teach
but
people how to paint and stuff. It'd be really good.
yeah, well, I like it. Again, there's no much opportunities to hang around with people while painting. I like it.
Yeah.
I like to teach people to paint. Um, well, I don't know if you can teach someone to paint. You can maybe inspire that person or just sit next to that person and give some indication and just let the person to learn by himself. Mm, But yeah, I like it. I like it. I have friends that painted. Have they have never painted a single miniature, but they look at my miniatures and they like it. Um, Maybe they have some game, not an old game, maybe well I don't know, a board game, a recent board game, and many of the games came with miniatures, plastic or resin miniatures, and well, they feel try it and they like to paint that thing and maybe something they ask me to paint the miniatures, but I prefer to sit with them, have some beers, and just start painting. But, well, many people likes to paint, but I think they don't know it. They don't know they like to
Yeah.
paint
Yeah.
because mm, they never paint. They never. Maybe it looks so complicated, or maybe they see beautifully painted miniatures and well, it's like when you were 10 years old or 12 years old and saw the Hero Quest miniatures painted by Mike McVeigh. And you
Mm.
say, well, this is great, but I'm unable to do this, and I will paint like that.
You can say for
So
me that,
yeah,
well, Josh is still unable to do that after so many
well,
years.
I confess I am unable to paint like that guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, but I think I paint better now that
Oh,
I
yeah,
was
yeah,
12.
yeah,
I can't. Well,
definitely. Yeah.
mm, so I think many people would like to paint or getting involved in the hobby, but it's hard to. People don't want to say I like to paint horses. For some reason, that's something to be ashamed of. Why?
Yeah, yeah.
Why?
There's still a stigma behind it. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. But these same people have expensive cars and
Hmm.
spend thousands of euros or dollars in drugs or in big houses or in unnecessary objects and things. And why this is better than paying ours? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe the drugs and the wild women or something may be more appealing. Maybe I don't know.
Well,
Maybe I missed something here, Maxi.
you can do both. You can do both.
I can't afford it now, so that's the end of that.
Well, you can get into drugs maybe in the weekends and just paint orcs like a regular guy from Monday to Friday. Yeah.
I'll stick with the wine, mate. I think that's probably good for me now. I think. Yeah, wine and painting.
Yeah. I think people and women, yeah, women are really good at painting.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not just by being women. I don't know if you paint better just by being a woman, but yeah, many girlfriends, of friends of mine, or my own girlfriend, they didn't know what was miniature painting or Warhammer. They don't know, and that's understandable. But when they get into painting, they are really precise. They have this eye for colors. They are really careful, and well, no, maybe nobody sits with these girls and say, "Let's paint something." Mm, well, girls paint really.
They do, mate. Yeah, they do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. They are very precise, very carefully. Um, I know. I know more uh, painting men. I mean, male painters than women. But I think this is uh, because Warhammer mini painting was a field, was a place, a man place. Because only guys were here, only guys are streaming. But I understand this is not the most wonderful environment to a girl to be.
Yeah, I can totally understand. Like, especially like a games workshop, it's not the most attractive place for a woman to walk into. You know what I mean? It's not something that women would be naturally attracted to.
No, it's not. My local gaming store is somewhere to avoid for most women. Well, I don't know. I don't know. They paint well, but they need they need to be attracted for painting or interested in painting. But once they do it, they really great work. Yeah, we are covering every topic in the world here.
I hope so, except for world peace and climate change and all the rest of it. But yeah, we're doing pretty well, Maxi.
Yeah. And I also miss in changing topic completely. I also miss shields with faces or shield with science and with free hands.
Yep.
Because today's shields are beautiful. The new chaos shields for Warhammer chaos are great. Great. They have mouths. They have feet. They are great, but they are sculpted. They are done. You just need to paint them. But one of the things I like most about miniatures is designing shields and giving them faces and some free hand. I like that a lot. Um, I miss that. I miss that. If you take a look at the old pictures of games of Golden Demo competition and things like that, the shields and the banners were a very important part of that competition. If I remember correctly, there was an entire I don't know the word.
What category?
Yeah. An entire
Yeah,
category for
really?
banners.
Oh, for
Yeah.
banners, oh.
Maybe or two times, 1 or 2 years, but I remember watching a banner competition. That was crazy. And some sometime back in the 80s, I think there was a challenge or competition, maybe in the White Wolf. I don't remember, uh, which was design your own banner or shield or something like that. And there was a beautiful drawing, a beautiful old style drawing of a warrior with the shield. And the shield was blank for you to paint or design your own shield.
Mm.
And there were winners. And there's a PDF around here, around the internet with that competition, and the winner was in White Dwarf, I think. And there were many crazy ideas, and that's about creativity.
Right. Okay, cool. I didn't realize that. So I'll have to check that out. What's your favorite, well, what was the most impressive Golden Demon winning entry, if you can remember?
There were many. Mm, there was that. I remember, but this is not so old because this is from the 2000 and something. And I remember an entry that was a huge demon portal opening with some infernal or demon stairs uh, going going off that portal, and there was a huge demon prince with some big weapon, maybe some 100 or 200 sword. I can't remember. And the title of that diorama was something related, something like demons came out of the gate, etc. And that was absolutely amazing. I can maybe do a quick search for you.
Okay, yeah.
Now I want to see it again. I remember, yeah, came to my
Yeah, no, it's not good
it
one.
came to my memory, and I don't know how to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
how can I search this thing. Golden Demon.
There used to be like a Golden Demon wiki on online, or there used to be a Golden Demon page. I don't know if that's still around anymore.
Yeah, goldendemon.com, and you can search by year, best of 2019, best of 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't know the year. But in the older competitions, there were some amazing entries too. And they were very spectacular, very imaginative and crazy. I remember, mm, I'm not sure if it was part of a golden M, but it was amazing nonetheless.
Mhm.
And it was some kind of chariot of Nagel. It's a great and clean one, uh, screaming, and a weird creature that I think it was uh, made out of green stuff and parts, and chain it to that chariot, and just running wildly. That was crazy. Yeah. But I'm unable to find that. If people know what I'm talking about, they can comment or share them on the gate. I don't know. I'm making some stupid searches. Look at that. Here it is, 204.
204, okay.
think I can share this window here.
I'll give you the sharing capabilities. Here we go. Share away, mate. There you go.
I think this is the window. Maybe.
Yep, that's it. Nice.
You can see it.
Yeah. See it all right. Yep.
It's beautiful, and not the best picture, but that thing was huge.
Mm.
Yeah, it's some the wings from a lot of chains and metal demon prints, some kind of huge halberd here, or naginata, or I don't know. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
60 years ago, and I remember it like it was tomorrow. It wasn't tomorrow.
It was yesterday, yeah? Mm.
Yeah. And the old, well, I have a blog. Let's take a look at my blog.
Oh, cool. Yeah, do that, man. I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, that's one.
No idea.
Yeah. It's my blog.
Cool.
And that's Spanish for in no man's land.
Mm.
I like it how it sounds. Yeah. This is my. Let's make some spam here. This is my Facebook. You can follow me here.
Sure. Yeah.
I have some.
Right.
I did write some articles about Golden Demon.
Mm.
It was a category named Fantasy Army.
Oh, wow.
Whole army, a whole Skaven warband, a Kellogg's with some orc on it.
Brilliant. Oh, Ivan Bartlett. Wow, he was actually a heavy metal painter.
Yeah. Yeah. You can put it in your chimney. This is impressive.
Yeah, amazing.
Well, this is not the best. Look at that. I don't know if you can read it. Another clone bites the dust. This is about paranoia.
Yeah.
RPG, where clones get killed again and again. Complete adventure. Maybe some of the miniatures are quite simple. If you see the entries in a Golden Demon today, they are really impressive. Every one of them, they are crazy. These ones, I recall, if you are watching this now, you see that, and well, that's just a minute. But for the 87, that was quite impressive. With that, all that checkers.
Yeah,
quite well. Well, this is hard to work in 1987 and today. It's the same hard to do. All that checkers.
Yeah.
Slambo. Well, ogres. Look at another standard. I don't know what is that.
Yeah, it's hard to make out, isn't it? But
very imaginative. Look at all that the details here in the bark. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Look, the base is green, but the border is black. It's black.
Yep. Very much
this
a third edition thing. Yeah. Well, very Oldhammer. I think black rim bases are very Oldhammer for me.
Yeah.
Look at the Terminator banner. Wow.
Terminator banner. This is
incredible.
What's that? What is this thing? I don't know. What's this. I think it's some kind of conversion.
Yeah.
It's some kind of ogre crocodile. I don't know. This is Oldhammer. This is pure Oldhammer.
Yeah.
1989. What's that? Why I'm looking at that? What is that? I love it. Crazy big-headed monster with a pike. Marvelous. Surfing snuggling.
Oh, a bit of Cthulhu there. It's like,
yeah. Single miniature category,
Yeah.
single character. And 40K have some great miniatures. I really like
The
the
librarian
old
Terminator.
Terminator.
Yeah.
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 Very, very
Yeah.
good.
I really like the old Terminators. They're really cool. Especially
And
the
look
Chaos
at
one is
all
amazing.
the effort. This is not the most inspiring miniature made.
Old
It's not the
Chaplain.
best. But look at all the work that went into this rhomboidal things here. All that
Yeah.
decoration.
I think someone noticed, I think someone mentioned that about that, like something on the second edition Facebook group that, in the Rogue Trader era, you could paint them as whatever you wanted them to be. I don't think there was like a codex color for them. I don't think they were black. I could be wrong, but I think you could just paint them as whatever you wanted them to be.
Yeah. Well, there were a chapter that were Rainbow Warrior, like the
Yeah.
English.
Yeah.
They have
If you want,
some rainbow helmets.
that's right. And Rick Priestley did an interview with Brad on the Cast Dice podcast. I've listened to it, just recently. You should listen to that if you want to listen to about the history of the Rainbow Warrior chapter and what happened to it. It's really, really interesting. Yeah, Rick talked for about 2 hours about the history of second edition 40K and some other products that were released during the 90s. It's really interesting. Listen, check that out if you can, mate.
Right.
That's a cool looking rhino. Yeah.
Standard bearer. Look at that.
Oh, cool. I love this dreadnought. This cast dreadnought's the best one.
The banner is something like out of
Pray for War. Yeah.
Cannibal Corpse.
Absolutely. Yeah. Insane.
This is just a regular
Routed.
nothing. And someone took all the effort to build this banner and to paint
Yeah.
for a single nothing. I love this champion.
Yeah. Peter Cook. That's a name that's familiar.
Yeah.
Peter Cook. Yeah.
And this thing is crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
This is the weird hammer kind of thing that, yeah.
Why? Because they are warhounds, so they are hounds.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
kind of like all these kind of weird hammer kind of entries. Okay, I can see it's really creative and there's a lot of work gone into it, but yeah, this seems weird to me.
Everything was okay. Everything was always. Titan.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Look at that blending.
Yeah. Yeah. Very nice.
Or here.
Yeah.
Mounted miniatures, more crazy things.
This is a Marauder. It's like a Marauder miniature, isn't it? It's a Marauder Chaos Warrior.
Yeah. The steeds were huge.
Yeah.
Much bigger than the Games Wars one. And look at the lines. It looks like some machine.
Wow.
Covering a Gorgon's hand with.
Yeah, it's like Medusa.
Yeah, I didn't remember this one. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Nice.
The base is a rock. There are no base under it. The rock is the base.
Yeah, it does look like an actual rock, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. That's a wall.
Yeah.
Look at that. That was the base.
No, that's the one you talking about before. Yeah. Nurgle Chariot. Steve Blunt. Yeah, Steve Blunt is another name that's sort of he was in that Golden Demon circuit for a long time. Yeah, I remember his name a lot.
This is an amazing work. Many green staff or
something. Very unique style too.
Yeah, I don't recognize many of these pieces. And this is big because this is the great and clean one, and this is a regular champion. So this thing is big. really huge.
Yeah, notice that he doesn't use any black lining. I think that's another thing about Steve's work. So like he just didn't use any black lining. It was all sort of very
True, true, true.
I don't know, it was very, very unique style Steve had that, yeah, there weren't any distinctive lines that separated between the different areas or colors. It was like very much a very natural kind of shading.
Yeah, very organic. This thing.
Very, very much organic, yeah.
Yeah.
Steve, I'm thinking he did some kind of big like war mammoth or something, maybe. I'm thinking that he did that.
I remember some huge mammoth. Yeah. I like that. This big demon just
yeah.
moving the
Nurgle's courtroom, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, in it.
And there was a category for Blood Bowl.
Oh, Blood Bowl. Wow.
Yeah.
Undead Blood Bowl team, by the looks of things.
Chaos? I don't know what it is. Necromantic team, I think. They are werewolves here. Well, craziness.
Yeah.
YouTube vehicle. I don't know what
YouTube vehicle. The
Dark
Future. Must be Dark Future, this one, I think.
Yeah. Crazy thing.
Yeah, well, I have special time, mate. Special time. Yeah. Wow, look at that banner. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Look at the base.
That was a Dungeons and Dragons miniature. I think it was a back beer and with a crazy banner. Even the banner had a banner. Look at that.
Yeah.
There is another in here and he is carrying another smaller one.
That's amazing. Yeah.
One.
Cool.
If you deploy an army that is crappily painted with this banner, you win. You win. No, nobody will look at that dwarf. People will look this. This is beautiful.
That's right.
And more. Look,
it's a very Blanche looking banner. Yeah.
Yeah. Black flames on a yellow background. That really is striking.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. But picture is small, but you can see some beautiful painting here.
I can see an ogre's head there, like an ogre mercenary.
Yeah.
Amongst all that, so yeah,
I
that's
think
a wicked conversion.
Yes, Godwin ogre.
Yep, that's the one.
Name it. I think that his name is Scrap. This is the name. And
I think so. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Some kind of future conversion.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. Crappy picture. I think this is from Paradise Lost, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And an ox hair like that. Very lots of work and effort put into banners. That's something I really miss.
I remember this one too, actually. This one.
Yeah. Look at that.
Wow. Like Fred Astaire. Yeah.
Yeah. Fred Astaire's face. Yeah.
That's incredible. Huh?
That's crazy.
I do remember that one.
It's a good portrait. You can really recognize the face.
Absolutely. The basing's amazing too on that one. That's really exquisite. Yeah.
Crazy vehicles.
Yeah, Dark Future again.
They were a category for dragons.
Uh-huh.
Bleach dragon. That wings are made out of paper or something. I don't know.
Plague dragon. It's got the Nurgle saucer on top of it. Nice one.
This one is a hero that has slain it, the dragon.
Yeah.
He's dying. Yeah, I like this one. Look at it, at this banner. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
is small, but you can see it's really very, very clean and really precise.
Yep. Now, is this one from Steve Blunt? I'm pretty sure maybe this one is, but I'm not sure. But yeah, it looks like his work. I could be wrong though. But I do remember this big mammoth. Now, is that a Citadel miniature? The big mammoth? It's a Grenadier.
I have no idea. No idea.
That's Ivan Bartlett, is it? Ivan Bartlett. Okay, he did
Ivan
this
Bartlett.
one.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It looks more like Grenadier because the Grenadier has
does,
some
isn't it?
chunky monsters.
Yep. Right.
Yeah, I don't remember what. Troll Slayer fighting some trolls.
Mm.
Well, the rider is nicely done.
Yeah, very good. On tiptoe.
Fishing orcs or goblins.
Yeah. Trust the goblin. Trust the goblins get into trouble there.
Yeah. Look at that color. Beautiful. Face, one kind of I don't know. The banner game.
Amazing. Yeah.
Not the best picture. Ivan Bartlett again. Not the best picture, but I remember those buildings that was covered in some textured paint or maybe PVA glue and sand, and
Yeah.
they all had this sandy finish.
Yeah, that's right, mate. Yep. It's like the TV insulation packaging or something. You know, that's what it was basically.
Yeah. I remember seeing a White Wolf article about doing terrain from Yank, basically Yank. Yeah, and they use it a lot of foam, insulation foam from the boxes.
That's right. Yeah. I love this Chaos Warrior, and that's a great paint job too.
Yeah, look at the shield. With
it's amazing.
Right? That really match the colors of the warrior.
Mm.
Really good. The mouth of Sarah. I really like that.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Like using natural elements into the diorama.
Yeah.
Quite fragile. If you touch it, it will break. But
yeah.
It's a really old miniature from one of the C series. I don't remember if it was an End or a 3-man or not the best miniature.
Yeah. I know that one. Yeah. That's a cool miniature. It's like a very Oriental samurai Oni, maybe I think.
Yeah. It was by sculpted by Jess Godwin. Jess Godwin is a master. Another one by Jess Godwin.
Actually, I've got that miniature right here. I love that model. Beautiful.
Yeah. And what?
Yeah, very cool.
Why? Because Oldhammer.
Yeah. That's it. That's all the excuse you need. Yeah. And there's a dwarf on top of a.
Look at that.
What the hell is that?
This is beautiful.
It's a chocobo. It's a chocobo from Final Fantasy.
Yeah. It's a monster chocobo. A mutant chocobo. Look at that. The head of an orc here, or goblin. And a dwarf knight. This is beautiful. I love this.
Wow. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah, and this kind of things is what I miss the most about this time.
Yeah.
Well, not this time, because in 1987 I was 5 years old, so I didn't know this ever existed. But yeah, I really like this imagination.
Yeah.
creativity. Yeah. Well, let's stop in here.
Wonderful.
And that was the old Gundam Lemons. That was beautiful in their own way.
Yeah, absolutely,
Not
mate. Yeah.
not huge miniatures, not amazing paint jobs, not arcane techniques, but imagination and rovers on chocos. This is beautiful.
God, the amount of hours I spent playing Final Fantasy. Jeez, that was the time when I got out of painting and I sort of just spent hours and hours and hours every day on playing PlayStation games.
Fantasy 7. That was the best, I think.
Well, Final Fantasy 7. I bought Final Fantasy 7. Well, actually, I didn't buy it. I rented it from the video store and I took it home, played it, played the first disc. Couldn't work out what the hell it was. I couldn't work out how to play it or anything like that. I returned it the next day, and I didn't think any more about it. But then it wasn't until Final Fantasy 8 when I bought that, and yeah, that for me was the greatest game they've ever made. And then I later went back to Final Fantasy 7. I played that, and it was a really good game. But yeah, Final Fantasy 8 for me was the best.
Yeah, it was great too.
Yeah.
I remember Diablo. I don't know how to spell that game.
Oh, Diablo.
Diablo. Yeah, yeah. Diablo is devil in Spanish.
Yep.
Diablo. Yeah.
Yep.
And I remember playing a lot this game, the one, Diablo one, while collecting Warhammer, painting. Well, not to do things, both things at the same time. You can
Mhm.
play and paint, but it was around, I don't know, 1997 or 8, don't remember. And yeah, in those years, I was really into fantasy, sword and sorcery movies, and Conan the Barbarian, and things like that,
Yeah.
and Diablo and RPGs. It was heavy metal, the complete pack.
The complete package, eh? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm painting horns. Horns are hard to paint because they were. I like to paint thin lines to give the horn texture,
Mhm.
um, with the point white and the base of the horn in a dark brown. It's hard. It consumes a lot of time and effort, but I think the results are great, are really striking.
Being an experienced painter like yourself, Maxi, that you've been painting for a very long time, what kind of advice would you give to someone who's just getting into painting?
To paint.
Yeah, like someone who's just coming in fresh, from, like we've been doing it for a long time. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who's just about to start painting and doesn't know much about where to start from? What kind of advice would you give them?
I think the most important thing is to experiment because you can watch many YouTube videos and follow many great painters, and that's great. I think this is necessary because we live in the 21st century, and there are lots of info, well, of info out there. Internet is a great source, but you need to experiment by yourself. You need to take the brush, the paint, and see what happens, and see how the paint uh, behave, and see what happens if you mix this color and this one. Commit mistakes. You need to do mistakes and to paint some shit. uh, because you can you can always fix that. You can even just unpaint a miniature and paint it again. There's no problem. Nobody knows. Nobody will know. So my main advice would be to experiment, to do things for yourself, and to just try. Look at some a few videos, not many of them, because you don't need to watch all videos there, and just try to do it yourself. It will look like crap at first, but you will get better and better and better, and one day you will be a good painter. And maybe it's not that important to be a good painter. I know lots of people that likes to paint as a hobby. They enjoy painting. And they paint like shit. I think, yeah, well, but they know it. They accept it. It's okay. I think it's beautiful because you are painting your toys, and when someone goes into your house, you can say, "This uh, thing I was painted. It was painted by me. I did this," and probably that person didn't paint anything in her own life, and um, it's good. Nobody will know that that miniature looks like shit, and if they know, it doesn't matter. It's your miniature. You can paint it whatever you like. You can use whatever colors you like. But I see lots of people um, asking, uh, which colors must I use for painting my X, my orbs, my rise, or whatever? And the answer is whatever colors you like. These are your miniatures. You can do whatever you like with them, and it will be okay. It will be okay. But being more concrete, more practical, uh, new painters should always clean the miniatures before painting and remove the more lines and the flash. Uh, Even washing resin miniatures with with water and soap because they will be easier to paint later. That way, you need to clean your miniatures, and you need to prime your miniatures. Get some information, mm, acrylic information. Please don't use car paint because it's horrible. You need to give your miniatures a good undercoat, white or gray or black. It depends. Just try. Uh, you need to do this because paint will painting will be much more easier over that undercoat. Um, and another good advice, I think, it will be thin your paints. Um, Acrylic paints dissolves in water, so you can use water to clean your brushes or to thin your paints. Just mix a little bit of water in your paint, and it will flow much better from the brush to the miniature. It will get into the details and cover everything. If you can't cover your miniature with just one coat, just give another thin coat. And in the end, it will cover everything.
Hmm.
And just go on paint. This is my main advice.
Oh, thanks, mate. I think that's going to be very helpful for people out there who are, either thinking about, venturing into miniature painting or maybe have been, painting for a while but have been struggling. I mean, it's a hard, well, like anything, it's kind of like when you first start something, it's not easy. It's not going to come naturally. It's going to be something, well, unless you're like some kind of child prodigy, like some people out there, like a Mike McVeigh or something. But I
Yeah.
think for most mere mortals, it's going to be a really hard testing time to get to grips with painting, and it just takes time, like you say. And the first thing you're going to paint is not going to be the best, and just perseverance and patience and determination will get you through it.
Yeah, and also talking with people that paints. This was something. This is something like maybe you and me didn't have back then in the 80s or in the 90s, because internet wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
You just can't get into YouTube and watch Duncan painting Marines. Now you can. So I think people should use that. Even Facebook groups or forums. I like forums. I know people now prefer more quick things like YouTube or TikTok, but I think forums are great for sharing information and pictures and your opinions. Um, so join a few groups and just ask things, because nobody, you and me started painting with homebrew paints. Were absolutely horrible. I if you or me get into Facebook or YouTube or whatever and ask, can I use that Umbro for painting my miniatures? I want to believe that someone will say, and don't use Umbro, use this thing that is acrylic and it use only water and it's better and you will live more and not getting a cancer. So that's
Yeah.
So yeah, just ask things. Ask things. How much water I use? How much paints I need? Where can I paint? What kind of brushes did I know? Did I need? Uh, just ask people.
Yeah.
This is something that is better now than it was in the 80s.
Yeah, no, I think that's good advice, mate. That's good advice indeed. Yeah, just like you say, like thin your paints, you don't need a wet palette necessarily. You can start with just like a tile, like we did most. I think most of us who started painting before wet palettes were really a thing.
Yeah.
Just with
I didn't
some
start
floor tile, right?
using one. Yeah, I didn't use a wet palette until very, very recent. Yeah, I don't remember, well, a few years ago, but I wet palettes were some arcane thing, and it's a really, really easy concept, but I don't know why nobody invented it before.
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, I think they've been around for a long time. It's just that they weren't really used generally in the miniature painting hobby.
Yeah, we didn't know about that.
No, that's right. Okay, well, Maxi, well, I think we're going to have to wrap up tonight. So, mate, I hope we can come back again at some point in the future to do another paint and
Oh
chat
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it.
Mate, we're going to do it again because I really enjoyed talking to you. You're a really great guy, and I'm really fortunate to have this opportunity to catch up with you, mate. So, thank you again.
Yeah, thanks to you. It was really nice. I usually paint using music or some old movie or something like that, but it was different. This was different, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Count on me every time you want.
Sure, mate. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we definitely need to sit down and have a good chat about something else.
Can I take a look at this banner? It looks really good.
Yeah, the banner. Yeah, I've actually finished it. So thanks, Maxi.
Yeah.
In our chat, we've done it. So yeah, I think that's pretty much done. So
it looks great.
I think a lot of people ask me about these banners. I've just printed out on if people think interested, just printed out on just really cheap photocopy paper at work. and you just varnish it. Just get some varnish and varnish the banner. I did it a couple of times, and then you're safe to paint over it. With inks especially, which are really good for that kind of thing. And varnish it when you're finished, and varnish the back of it, and paint it the back of it, and cut it out, and stick it on your model, and you're way to go, mate. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So,
We can do a banner and shield special.
exactly. We can do a banner and shield special for next time. For absolutely sure, mate.
Yeah.
I really like
It
that.
will be great. Yeah.
So again, Maxi, thank you very much again. All the best to you and your family, and keep safe and well. And we'll catch you the next time, mate.
Yeah, same to you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, mate. Take care.